Washington may be preparing to ban Chinese AI models, just as American businesses are starting to embrace them. That tells you how quickly the balance has shifted. One Chinese model has suddenly placed what was supposed to be America's strongest remaining advantage under serious pressure. Kimi K3, developed by Moonshot AI, has beaten every leading US frontier model currently available. And the part causing the most concern is the price. Depending on the task and competitor, Kimi K3 is between 5 to 50% cheaper than comparable American models. This has already triggered some extraordinary reactions inside the United States. Jim Cramer is now warning that American companies should not be allowed to use Chinese AI at all, arguing that these models could be connected to the Chinese military. Whatever you think of that claim, the reaction itself shows how seriously the threat is being taken. A technology race that was supposed to secure American dominance is turning into a debate about whether Chinese products should simply be blocked. But businesses are looking at this from a much more practical angle. Their operating expenses have risen across the board as inflation has pushed up wages, electricity, infrastructure, and nearly every other cost. They want AI, but they cannot ignore what it costs to process millions or billions of tokens. That is why even Microsoft has considered using DeepSeek to help build its own solutions. And Microsoft is far from alone. In just 18 months, Chinese model share of AI token usage among US firms has jumped from roughly 5% to nearly 60%. That is an astonishing shift. If it continues, American AI companies could lose a huge amount of revenue inside their own domestic market. Washington can spend more money and impose more restrictions, but it cannot force businesses to ignore a major cost advantage forever. Low price explain only part of the shift. Open weight releases also allow businesses to treat AI as a technology they can control instead of a service they must continuously rent. That changes how companies use these models and what they ultimately pay for them. With direct access to the model, a company can keep sensitive information inside its own system rather than sending it through an external provider's servers. It can also fine-tune the software using private dataset and adapt it to highly specific tasks. Companies purchasing millions or even billions of tokens can avoid recurring API charges as well. Once the necessary infrastructure is in place, the cost of running large volumes of work can fall sharply. This is why AI is gradually becoming a commodity. When several models are capable of completing the same everyday tasks, businesses will care less about which company has the most famous name. They will focus on the price of usable intelligence and how much freedom they have to deploy it. Chamath Palihapitiya explains this using the idea of a barrel of intelligence. 1 million tokens sold at radically different prices by competing AI companies.
Let's say a barrel of intelligence, which is 1 million tokens, okay? You can buy that barrel for $26 from Anthropic's really good model. You can buy from OpenAI for $26. Anthropic's latest model costs you $56. Elon is selling you a barrel of intelligence for $1. Zuck is about to sell it to you for $1.50. Demis and Sundar are trying to sell it to you for $1. The Chinese will sell it to you for 50 cents. So this rationalization has to happen. We have the same input that has this crazy cost.
This price rationalization matters because the global AI market could reach anywhere from $2 to $5 trillion by 2033. American giants are spending enormous sums because they want to capture that opportunity. But if Chinese models already appeal to companies inside the United States, they could be even more attractive to cost-sensitive businesses and governments across the rest of the world. Moonshot's growth suggests that this is already becoming a serious commercial shift. The company is in talks to raise pre-IPO funding at a valuation of around $50 billion ahead of potential Hong Kong listing. Its daily sales have surged at least sixfold since Kimi K3 launched. Annual recurring revenue reached about $300 million in June, up from $200 million in April. That is a 50% increase in just 2 months. That money also stretches much further inside China, where salaries, electricity, and many other operating expenses are lower. Moonshot can reinvest its revenue and continue expanding beyond Washington's reach. The main leverage the United States still has lies at home, deciding which Chinese models American companies will be allowed to use. Washington already tested a narrower version of this strategy in 2025 after DeepSeek shocked the industry. The model was banned from US government devices, while tighter controls were imposed on exports of advanced chips. Yet, DeepSeek remained commercially available to American businesses, so those measures did little to prevent private companies from using it. Now, officials appear ready to go much further. Measures under discussion include formal advisories discouraging US companies from using Chinese technology, executive action targeting Chinese AI models, and restrictions aimed specifically at open weight releases. Any broader policy could easily cover Kimi K3 and other Chinese models entering the American market. The problem for Washington is that these developers operate outside US jurisdiction. It cannot order Moonshot or DeepSeek to stop releasing new products. Its main tools are restricting American customers, blocking access to US technology, or threatening financial sanctions. Trump may be also directing as much as $200 billion in research funding from American colleges toward competing with China in AI. That sounds like an enormous response, but spending alone may not solve the underlying cost problem. China has a huge pool of engineers and data scientists, while salaries remain far below American levels. Electricity can also be 30% to 50% cheaper. According to the regional comparison, $1 spent in the United States may generate around $2 of productive AI output. The same dollar spent in China could produce $5 or even $10 of comparable output. That gap compounds across salaries, powers, data centers, and model training. Washington can commit hundreds of billions of dollars and still receive less practical capacity for every dollar spent. However, US officials believe America still holds one advantage, powerful enough to influence the entire industry: its control over global computing capacity.
Probably used to have 50 or 60% of the compute power in the world, will probably soon be at 80. And that is an incredible national advantage.
Reaching that level would give the United States tremendous influence over chips and data center capacity. But hardware leadership alone cannot determine which models businesses actually use. A company may still choose a cheaper Chinese product if it performs the required task and offers greater control. If spending and hardware leadership cannot slow that adoption, Washington has another tool available: punitive action against the Chinese developers themselves. And Scott Bessent has now made that threat public.
We are finding watermarks of our U.S. large language models on many of the Chinese models, and that's unacceptable, Maria. So we're going to be looking at that in the coming days or weeks. But again, the U.S. government supports open source, but what we do not support is IP theft. And if we see, especially that overseas models are stealing from our great companies, we have the ability to sanction them.
That is a major escalation. The US Treasury Secretary is directly connecting alleged American model watermarks inside Chinese systems with the possibility of sanctions, and AI distillation is becoming the central accusation. Distillation is a process in which a smaller model learns from answers produced by a larger, more capable model. The technique is used throughout the global AI industry. The dispute concerns how those outputs were obtained and whether developers violated commercial terms while collecting them. Proving where legitimate learning ends and outright theft begins is extremely difficult. There is no obvious technical line, which gives Washington wide freedom to target almost any Chinese model that becomes too competitive. So in my view, that would damage trust in American AI far beyond China. Government and companies around the world could start wondering whether access to US technology will eventually come with political conditions. If relations with Washington deteriorate, could their access also be restricted? China's response would be simple. Beijing could encourage developers to release their models even more openly, lower prices further, and invite foreign companies to build products around Chinese technology. Chinese open models already account for at least 63% of global AI token usage. Punishing them in front of the world could accelerate the shift instead of reversing it. And many businesses do not need the most powerful models available. If a cheaper model can deliver 60 to 70% of frontier-level performance, that may be more than enough for customer support, research, translation, coding, or data processing. Some Chinese alternatives are already between 95 to 99% cheaper than premium American models. For example, DeepSeek V4 Pro costs around 68 times less per token than Claude Fable 5. So in practical terms, a company could run roughly 68 tasks on DeepSeek for the price of one comparable task on Claude. No business leader can simply ignore a gap that large. If Washington bans Chinese models, American companies would be forced toward more expensive domestic options. Big technology firms may absorb that cost, but smaller businesses would have to limit their usage or delay adoption. Meanwhile, competitors in Europe, Asia, Latin America and the Middle East could continue using much cheaper Chinese tools. That creates a real possibility that the rest of the world will deploy AI faster in everyday businesses, while US companies pay premium prices for domestic models. And sanctions would not remain confined to software. They could also spill directly into supply chains behind America's new chip factories. Washington is investing heavily in semiconductor production at home. TSMC has committed another $100 billion to US manufacturing, taking its total planned American investments above $260 billion. Micron is also planning a $3 billion investment in domestic chip supply chains, centered on a huge new manufacturing project in central New York. Howard Lutnick has presented these investments as a foundation of a major expansion in American chip manufacturing.
You've got Micron pouring it in, right? This, just one megafab, is going to be a mile long, and there's going to be 4 of them. Tens of thousands of jobs. Micron is going to do 100,000 jobs. Then you've got company after company investing hundreds of billions of dollars in America, which leads to President Trump's $19 trillion.
Well, Lutnick certainly sounds passionate about the plan, but every one of these factories requires enormous quantities of reliable electricity, affordable critical minerals, and specialized materials used throughout the semiconductor supply chain. Building the facilities is only one part of the equation. Supplying them year after year is where China gains enormous leverage. China controls the majority of global rare earth supply and processing. American chipmakers still depend heavily on Chinese supply chains for strategically important materials such as gallium, germanium, and tellurium. These inputs are essential for advanced semiconductors, electronics, and the infrastructure supporting AI. So if Washington sanctions Chinese AI companies or blocks their models from the US market, Beijing has several ways to respond. The most damaging options would be tightening exports of critical materials. China wouldn't need to shut everything down overnight. Even slower approvals, smaller export quotas, or selective restrictions could raise costs and delay production across the United States. A factory in Arizona or New York is not truly independent if essential inputs can still be restricted from Beijing. Hundreds of billions of dollars in construction cannot solve the vulnerability quickly. Developing alternative mines, refining capacity, and supply networks can take many years. This helps explain why Washington is urgently trying to keep dialogue open. High-level US-China talks on AI cooperation are scheduled for September, and the threat of export restrictions will hang over those discussions. China knows that America can spend hundreds of billions of dollars building factories, yet still struggle to operate them without materials processed through Chinese supply chains. Washington must now decide how far it is willing to push restrictions on Chinese AIs. Any action against companies such as Moonshot or DeepSeek could trigger retaliation against the semiconductor strategy those restrictions are supposed to protect. So would an AI ban actually protect America's technology industry, or force US companies to pay more while the rest of the world moves toward cheaper Chinese models? Let me know what you think in the comments, and as always, don't forget to hit the like button and turn on the notification bell so you don't miss new videos. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.